today we're being joined by new Swans AFLW player Holly Cooper. Holly, thanks for coming on. And first off, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No worries. How was that time being told in the last few weeks, being a pre-signing with the Swans? How was that time?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I honestly wasn't expecting it, so it was a bit of a shock, but I'm very excited. So,
do you feel it's probably now that you've gotten it as a pre-draft signing compared to, say, on night?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so with the draft, obviously, you get the process of getting told pre-draft, but then while the draft's on, would you rather it be in this position that you've gotten selected in, or would you rather in the draft, or do you feel that's a bit more nerve-wracking that way?
I did really want to do the draft, but I can't complain being signed. So I was excited either way. I think because I did apply nationally for the draft.
Okay, yeah.
But I always wanted to go Sydney. Like, my heart was in Sydney. But I knew that I'd have to apply national just for my first year. I didn't really care where I ended up, but I'm really happy that Sydney picked me up.
So what was that phone call like? Also, you've seen on the socials how the interaction with your parents were and everything like that. But when the Swans rang you, I think was it you were about to go to work and they rang you? So how was that time?
Yeah. Yes, I was very emotional because it kind of just happened very quickly. But yeah, it was great.
So you mentioned too, obviously, then telling your parents and obviously your mum not being with you when you made the announcement. What was it like telling them?
Yeah, very exciting. Apparently everyone already knew, and it was a setup for me to have a reaction. But yeah, mum and dad, they were super excited. They said that they tried so hard not to say anything.
Okay. So how long in advance did they know? Was it the same day? Did they know days before?
It was the same day. They only knew an hour before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about that. It would have been nice if they told you, but obviously the moment was still pretty special as we saw on the social media page.
Special. Yeah.
That's good. So far, Swan season just ending. If you had a chance to, since you've been officially picked up at time, being experience being like officially as a Swan.
Sorry, you keep cutting out. Like, I'm not really sure.
That's okay. Sorry, all good. So you can hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll continue. So obviously meeting the players officially as a Swans player, obviously been there through the academy and everything, but have you met anyone since you've officially been a Swan that on the playing list, and how's that experience been?
So obviously I have been a train-on with the girls since they started this year. I haven't seen anyone since it's happened. I'm going into the club today through the media and to see a couple of the girls. So
okay, so with the Swans Academy and being a trainer with the Swans, how's that experience been for you training with some of the best players in the competition?
It's been really good. Like, I've learned a lot, like not only from the girls but Davo as well, who was an academy coach as well. Yeah, the girls were so good. Like, there was 7 of us train-ons from the academy, and they all welcomed us in, and like the training was intense. Like, it was really what like I needed to see to play AFLW level, and I loved it. Yeah.
Who's some of the players that you've leaned on throughout this whole time, really, been in the academy and then been a train-on and now been official? Who's some of the players at the Swans that have helped you along the time so far?
For a player, definitely Brooke Lochland. So she was an academy coach as well for us. She's been amazing. Yeah, she's really helped us girls and definitely welcomed us into the train-on program. But I'm really excited to be her official teammate. So
you're obviously being a midfielder. So what type of midfielder would you describe yourself as?
I'm very good at reading the play from my netball background. So I used to play netball. And I feel like I have like good decision making and I'm pretty quick. So
it's obviously vertical jump. You're 5th in that. You're 5th in the running vertical jump, 6th in the 20-metre sprint, and 4th in the agility test. So you seem to be going in all facets of testing that you've been up there in the top part of the groupings or rankings. Yeah. So do you feel that's one of your biggest strengths as well, being a part of or ranking so high in those areas?
Definitely. I think it was very good that I did top it overall. Not what I was expecting, but yeah, that definitely got my name out there more and kind of got me known to what that I'm pretty much, I would say, like an all-rounder with my strengths. So yeah, it was good.
That's good. So how did the opportunity to be part of the Swans Academy, backtracking a little bit, but how was the opportunity to be part of the academy and how did you go around that process of being a part of it?
So because I'm from Newcastle, I played at Cardiff Hawks, and my old Cardiff Hawks coach, Liam Gibson, saw lots of potential in me, and he had connections through the academy. So he said, look, Holly, I think you should go trial for the academy. And I was like, that sounds great. So I went down one night, did a training session, only joined about this time last year. So I only did one season of the academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I just trialed the year after, did all the benchmark, got in, trained, and then played all the games. So it was pretty unreal.
That's good. So obviously being part of the Swans now, but pre-selection at Sydney, had you spoken to other clubs and how was your meetings with clubs originally? And do you remember the very first club you met and the first meeting you had with them and how that was for you?
I haven't actually spoken to any clubs.
Okay.
But my agents have talked to other clubs. So yeah, and that this was all before the draft combine results came out. So I wouldn't know if any club wanted me or not.
That's fair. What AFLW player comparison would you compare yourself with? We mentioned being a midfielder and have all those good testings, but what sort of player would you compare yourself to in terms of the style of player you are?
Probably from the Swannies, probably Brooke, Lochland and Sophia Hurley. I reckon I play a bit like them. Yep.
Who's some teammates besides Brooke that you're looking forward to playing with at the Swans?
Oh, definitely Chloe Malloy. She's unreal. But most of those girls, they're all unreal. Like Laura Gardner, no, she never has a bad game.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, the Hamiltons, I'm really looking forward to it. So
that's good. So, what was your thoughts overall though for your season so far? For the season for you?
I think I started when I first started in the academy. I was very shy, didn't really know anyone. Only had 3 years experience. But I kind of just got into it and I just loved the sport more and more. And I think I just grew in my strengths and my stats got higher and higher every game. So yeah, I think by the end of it, I really showed what I could do and improved. So
it's good. Have you been given any key advice throughout the year or the last few years from either Brooke or any of the coaches that stuck out with you?
A little bit, game advice.
Yeah, game advice about how to handle this pressure of being an AFLW player, about the training centres, the game days and everything like that.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of a look into it as being a training partner of what they do day to day. I pretty much do half of what they do day to day just up in Newcastle by myself. So I think I'm pretty prepared for what's to come next year. But there's so much help around anyways. Everyone there is so welcoming and yeah.
That's good. Who's obviously been a trainer of the Swans and been part of the academy? Obviously, you said you've trained with them a fair bit. So who's been one of the Swans players that you've had to match up on at training that's been probably your toughest challenge to match up on in training drills and everything like that?
I'd definitely have to say Chloe Malloy. Yeah, Chloe Malloy.
Very tough matchup for sure.
She is tough.
Outside of the Swans players, who would you feel is been one of your toughest opponents in the other competitions you've been a part of?
I reckon Havana Harris, that whole Queensland team was unreal. They're unreal. Yeah. But definitely Havana Harris was a standout for me and a tough opponent to play against. Yeah.
So Danielle Ponticki, a great goal for the Crows to start of the year through the centre square or something like that, and had all those bounces. Do you recall that moment?
No.
No. So what she did, that's all right. But honestly, it's a good policy. So basically, she kicked it from the centre square. It bounced over a couple of players, and then it kept rolling and rolling. Then in the goal square, it bounced over a couple of other players. My point is, do you think anyone would be able to replicate that moment, or you think you'd be able to replicate that, or someone that thinks they can but they can't?
I reckon it's possible, but
You never know.
I don't know.
Now, who at the Swans you feel would be able to do something like that? And I've had a fair few Sydney players, and a lot of them always say Chloe Malloy, and then some say Cynthia Hamilton. Would they be two or anyone else that you feel would be able to replicate that at the Swans?
I would definitely say that. I reckon Alicia Newman would give it a good crack.
Yep.
She does a few fancy little snaps, and I reckon she would be one of them.
What do you think is the best individual game you've ever played in, and that you feel that's clearly got you on the radar of the Swans?
I think my best individual game was when we first went down to play in the Coates League. This was in the academy. I think I had a really good game. I'm not sure what the team was called. I think it was the Dandenong Stingrays game.
Yep.
Yeah. And we went down to Melbourne, and all the coaches said I had a really good game and that I showed all my strengths. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that game. That was probably my best one.
That's good. What do you think is the best goal you've ever kicked, whether it's part of the academy or locally? What do you think is the best goal you ever kicked?
I haven't actually kicked that many goals.
So they're just stock standard ones for the ones that have happened?
Good goal. I actually kicked a 50-metre. It didn't go all the way. It bounced into the goal. A 50-metre goal up back in when I played for the Hawks. I was out running, and there was no one in the 50, and I kicked it from outside the 50. Could have kept running, but I didn't. I just decided to kick it, and then it just rolled in.
No matter how you get them, Holly, it's better. Well, you get it. That's the best way to take it. Any nicknames you get given?
I get Coops.
Nice.
Coops.
Nice. Same as me. Any coaches' pets at the academy or anywhere that you've played for?
No. I've been in very good AFL environments, so yeah.
No, that's good. Who do you feel is the best player in the competition in the AFLW as a whole?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's a fair few names, and even this year, the best player award at the end of the year next week. In my own medal that I did, I had it as Jasmine Garner, but there's so many names, and there was only tight. So I had 5 names within 2 votes of each other. It just shows how tight, or 3 votes. So it shows how tight it really is. Who would you say is?
I'm going to be honest, I don't watch much other games, so I don't know many AFLW players.
That's fair. That's all good. Who loves the limelight, the attention, and the camera, and can just not get enough of it?
Like in the Swans girls?
Yes, Swans, either the academy, the AFLW side. Who do you feel loves the attention and cannot just get enough of it? And they know where the camera is, and they know to celebrate a celebration or anything.
I don't know, hey. I feel like Cynthia loves a good celebration.
Sorry, who was that?
Cynthia.
Hamilton, yep.
Yeah, she loves a good celebration on camera.
That's good. If you could approach any player or players from another AFLW club to join the Swans, who would you like to take? Anyone in particular?
I would take Taylor Harris.
Nice, just because of being a forward and a booming kick as well.
She is amazing. I love Taylor Harris. So
that's good. Was she one of your idols growing up while you were into the footy path? Anyone in particular that you, over time, were wanting to idolise? Idolised?
Well, I'd love to play like Chloe Malloy, but she's very unique in her own way, and she's amazing. But I didn't really have an idol. I just, because I don't really watch much. Like I watched all the Swannies play, but when I first started playing, I didn't really watch much AFL. Like I watched a lot of the men's, but only really the Swans play.
Okay. So. Fair. How do you think the Swans went in the men's competition this year? Obviously, they did okay.
They did all right. they had a few ups and downs, but
Yeah,
they did all right.
that's fair. Did you play any other sports? Because you mentioned earlier about only starting footy, was it 3 or 4 years ago? So did you play any other sports around that?
Yeah, so I used to play heaps of netball. So
Any good at that?
I was all right. I played like rep and went to state a couple of times for school. That was kind of the furthest I went with my netty. So
Yeah. Is there anyone that does something that just really annoys you that someone does at the club that you just cannot stand? Like, I don't know, scaring people. Because I know the Swans, and I'm sure you'd be well aware, Sydney players, AFLW girls like scaring people. I know Cynthia got scared recently and she was scaring someone the week before that. Anything like that in particular that annoys you?
No, I don't think so. Because I feel like I'd be that type of person to do that. So
have you copped any of that while you've been there?
No, I've copped like some annoyingness where some girls don't stop talking, but that's kind of it.
Well, that's all right. Where was I? So Mark or the goal of the year, which one would you prefer to take?
Mark of the year goal. Definitely goal.
Nice. Why a goal? I agree with you, but why a goal?
I don't know. I feel like it's really exciting getting a goal.
Absolutely. If you were to kick a miraculous goal, because you said you haven't got any necessarily out of the ordinary ones, would you be one to over-celebrate it? We mentioned about that before. Would you over-celebrate that?
No, I'm not a big celebrator, but I would definitely internally celebrate myself.
That's fair. Now, this is a new question I've started incorporating into people. Defenders, obviously, you got the midfielders, they get recognised a lot. You get the forwards, they get recognised a lot. Even ruckmen these days are getting recognised a lot. But do you feel there should be some form of a defenders award? Because as you see in the Brownlow votes in the men's and women's, you hardly see defenders get votes. I've tried to start incorporating my own medal votes I did this year. Do you feel they need a bit more love than they get?
I feel like they do, like, especially like just in the Swans this year, like Brenna, Tarrant, BT.
Yeah, she's been great.
So many goals from happening. Like, she was incredible. Like, she saved some games for the girls. Yeah, I feel like that does need to be recognised, and it would be amazing for them. So
I've had BT on twice, and she's a ripper. But she doesn't like to pump herself up. But I'm glad someone else is. And as I said, mentioned a few of her teammates on, and they pumped her up. She's underrated, and I'm really surprised that she did not make that All-Australian squad.
Yeah.
Very interesting, but I won't say anything else on that. So they get interesting, these squads. Rising star tip this year, obviously, you've got Ali Morford, your own new teammate, and then you've got Zali Goldsworthy, Ella Roberts, Jazz Fleming, Matilda Schultz. Who's someone that you feel will win the Rising Star Award this year?
I reckon Morph would give it a good shot. I reckon she had a great couple of first games. It's disappointing that she hurt herself and couldn't play. Yeah. She was going so good, so she's got my vote.
Definitely. I had her and Ella Roberts and Zali Goldsworthy because they're all so hard to choose. And I mean, as you mentioned, Morph, if she didn't miss the last 3 weeks of her wrist injury, she probably would have won it. And she still might win it. So interesting to see how that ends up faring. Who's some teammates you've been impressed by either at the Swans or through the academy that fly under the radar a little bit, that should get a bit more love and appreciation, that don't really get it as much as the top names do?
It's a very good question that I cannot answer. I'm not sure.
It's fair enough. There's no standout, so that's all right. Interstate trips. Do you like the interstate trips? You mentioned obviously being going to Melbourne for something against Dandenong Stingrays. So do you like interstate trips? Are you a fan of them?
I do like going interstate, but I'm not a big flyer. I do not like flying at all.
I agree with you. I'm the exact same. Now, one more final question. Appreciate you coming on. Premiership tip for the AFLW this year. Obviously, there's 4 teams in that mix still: North, Adelaide, Geelong, and Brisbane. Who do you feel going to get the job done there?
I reckon Adelaide's going to win.
I think that could happen. Selfishly, I'm a St Kilda fan, so I don't really have any bias towards who I want to win. But I think it'd be nice to see North win it purely with the fact of, you always see Adelaide and Brisbane up there before they got eliminated. So it'd be nice to see someone different. So I'd like to see North win. But Holly, I really do appreciate you coming on. All the best for the rest of your career at the Swans. Hopefully it goes well for you. All the best and good luck. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.